everybody, welcome back. My name is Cassie. I am the Evil Secret Ninja, and I talk about books and review books on my channel. So today I'm doing kind of a, as we're heading into winter, I'm going to do some winter read recommendations. To come up with this list, I kind of thought about what are the things that come up in the winter, and what are the things that I experience in the winter, and what would be some books that I would think would go along with the things about winter. The first thing I thought about when I think about winter is that it's cold. Temperature's dropping, the leaves are falling off the trees, it's getting colder. You don't want to go outside a lot as much as you would at other times of the year because it's just a little bit cold and you're going to freeze your toes and all that kind of stuff. So for my recommendation, because of the coldness of winter, A Song of Ice and Fire. And I didn't pick a specific book. I just think that, this, as the Starks say, winter is coming. I think any of these books would be good. If you're one of those that doesn't want to pick this up because this series will not ever reach a conclusion, I totally get that too. But so that's my first recommendation, is A Song of Ice and Fire. So the second thing that I think about when I think about winter is the snow. Building snowmen, wearing snow boots, you know, and all of those kind of fun things that go along with snow. Idea about winter, I thought of Beartown by Fredric Backman. And there's a lot of snow in this. This takes place in a town called Beartown, where they play a lot of hockey. And so there's snow and the lakes are frozen and they're playing hockey. I have to admit, like the first about quarter, maybe third of the book is a lot of stuff about hockey and obsession with hockey. So it was really hard to get past that first part. And then a tragedy happens in this town and everything kind of gets turned on its head. The town is now kind of faced with this really big problem. And it's how that problem kind of like tears the town apart. Fredric Backman has just a way of writing a story that's pretty amazing. So I really enjoy this book. It's a great winter read when you're thinking about snow. So the next thing that I think about when I think about winter is that we have a lot of holidays coming up. And one of the things about the holidays is that sometimes you spend them with family and sometimes it's a little strange. Especially if, you know, say you're more of like a blended family. So you get to expose yourself to people that you don't know aren't normally around. And we all have kind of this, as much as we love our families and enjoy being around our families, they're a little bit odd sometimes. So this is like kind of the uncomfortable things around the holidays with regard to kind of strange family dynamics. So for that, I thought of The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. And it could be like the whole His Dark Materials trilogy because, you know, like the kind of the family dynamics in that series are a little bit strange. We follow Lyra, who was raised at a university. She doesn't know who her parents are. And it's quite interesting to find out who they are and a quite strange dynamic that comes out of that. So that would be my recommendation for reminding you of the holidays and the strange interactions that you have with maybe family that you don't see all the time around the holidays. So the next thing about winter, obviously it's getting darker. We're tilting away from the sun. There's more darkness in the day. So it gets dark earlier. It gets dark. It stays dark later. Just kind of like less sunlight. So for that aspect of winter, I thought of a book that I thought was really dark. And that was Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. And this is about a reporter, and she's not the healthiest person. She's a very complicated woman. And there's a murder in her hometown, and her boss says, hey, you need to go investigate this murder. You're from this town. People will talk to you. And very reluctantly, she agrees, and she goes to her hometown, her mom's this kind of crazy person, and she's got her half sister who's a little bit odd. She's trying to solve this murder, and it was a really kind of like dark, spooky, creepy thing, and then you find out certain things that are going on. So that one I would suggest that you read for kind of like a darker read to kind of signify the darkness in winter. So the next thing I think about when I consider winter is that we have New Year's, which is, of course, when we make all sorts of resolutions and different things like that. Like this year's going to be the new beginning. I know, like this year when it turned 2021, people were like, I just hope it's better than last year. Starting over and having opportunities for a new beginning. For that aspect of winter, I thought of The Secret Life of Bees by... so we follow Lily, and when she was 4, there was an accident, and her mother died, and she shot her mother as her mother was trying to escape her father. And she has this... There's a black woman who works at her home, Rosaline, and so they decide to run away because her father's really quite terrorizes them both. And so they run away, and they find, and she's really trying to find out like who her mother was. And she knows her mother was trying to run away, and she has like kind of clues about different things about her mom, and so she tries to find out what they are. And she finds a group of people who are beekeepers, and she's learning how to take care of bees. So this was a really good story, and it's a story about starting over and starting fresh and newer beginnings. So that was my pick for New Year's. So the next thing about winter, and this kind of is related to the holidays, lots of food. There's cookies. Let's face it, like Thanksgiving is a holiday all about food. That's like the main event for Thanksgiving. So for thinking about food and how it's related to winter, I thought of A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer, and this is a young adult fantasy retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And of course it's an enchanted castle, and there is enchanted food or an enchanted kitchen that makes food all the time. So I thought that was kind of reminded me of the food aspect of winter. Like kind of New Year's, it also is the end of a previous year. So the next thing that winter reminds me of is it being the end of the year. And so it kind of signifies things ending. And for that, this one's a little bit twisted, but I had a Monster Calls by Patric Ness. This one kind of is certainly about ending and grief, because a lot of times when things end, there's a lot of grief going on. This one follows a boy, Connor, whose mother is very sick, and he's certainly having to learn to let go of certain parts of his life. So, great book. Certainly recommend it. Great for the winter. So, the next thing I think about when I think about winter is kind of like sitting in front of the fireplace or in front of the fire, getting kind of warmed up. So I thought about how warming and comforting that is to sit in front of a fire. And the book that I associated with that was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. And this is a very delightful story about a man who works for a department that is concerned about how kind of magical creatures are taken care of. And so he is sent to the house on the Cerulean Sea, where he is supposed to look at how this house is run and determine whether or not it is the best place for these children to be. It's like reading a warm hug. It's like reading the comfort of sitting in front of the fireplace and warming up by the fire. So it's kind of described as a fairy tale for adults, and it certainly is. It was very, very well done. I enjoyed it a lot. So the next thing I think about when I think about winter is, sitting down, wrapping up in a blanket, and just sitting there and reading. Kind of like that comfort and what is fun to read when you're all wrapped up in a blanket. And for this one, I came up with a series of unfortunate events. These are kind of really short. I believe they're considered children's books. It follows a group of orphans, the Baudelaires, and their adventures trying to get away from Count Olaf, who is after their fortune. And the whole series was kind of delightful. There is a Netflix adaptation for it, and that adaptation was great as well. So that would be my pick for something to read while you're wrapped up in a blanket, sitting on the couch, just enjoying the season. The next one, I did talk a little bit about family when I mentioned like holidays, and that's kind of the weird side of family. But the other part is like the family that you love and you care about, and you just are excited to spend extra time with them. You get some time off of work, and we all just get to sit around and enjoy each other's company. And so for that one, I picked Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. And this is a beautiful story about family and what it means to be family. It's done two ways. So you have the story part of it, where it's written, and then you have another story that's in pictures. And those two stories obviously combine, and you find out some really great things, but it is a great story about family. And so that would be my pick for winter. Alright, so those are 10 books that I think are great to read in the winter when we have the holidays and it's dark and it's cold. You just kind of want to wrap up in a blanket and sit by the fire and get warm. Those are my recommendations for winter. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!